All right, guys, we're back. We're back. If only you could see what it takes on our end, because we don't know what's happening.
Today was a bit of a saga.
Think more so than the other day?
Well, I mean, we had to have a Gen Z come on and make sure that things were.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's okay.
So, for anyone who is actually watching us, I'm Assunta, and I'm back with my sweet friend Chippy, Dr. Chippy Ajathan. And this is sort of like a part two of, a bit of banter. A bit of banter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Important banter. I mean, for me, a pretty significant shift
huge
in
banter.
life.
I mean, I don't know. I think I have
Uh,
yet to meet anyone who has said to me, I want to live in pain, filled with inflammation, and I want
mhm.
it to be really short. I want my life to be really short.
Uh,
So I think, for anyone who's watching for the first time, we hyper focus on health and wellness and lifestyles. And Dr. Chippy is transitioning from a 30-year career in Western medicine.
mhm.
And we talked a little bit about that in our pilot. And I think it'd be fun to talk about, like, well, one of the things that I want to know, I mean, listen, I've known you for over
20
20 years.
plus
We've
years.
established that, almost 20,
Hmm.
20 something, almost 25. And I can tell you that it was a personal struggle for me watching you endure the lifestyle in medicine and the layers of bureaucracy that you would suffer through every single
Oh,
day when
do
you
you remember
worked.
the phone calls? Like, I think I would come home and then I would just be on the phone with you. And that was literally my therapy session. We were
Can
on the
I?
phone for hours after work.
It's funny that you say that because, all right, so we're going to go a little backwards here. Um, the very first day that I met you, do you remember that? I remember everything.
Thing. Yeah, you do have a
Yeah,
weird
for anyone who
memory.
doesn't know me, I
Oh my
have
God,
a
it's odd.
memory that just
Eidetic
does not.
memory
Yeah,
for
it's
people, places, names,
yeah,
literally conversations verbatim from 20 years ago.
verbatim. Yeah,
I
so
mean,
this is.
if I had that power, I wouldn't breeze through med school. Like, it's just not right.
I know. I think it's what
Right?
helps me. If you don't know me, I have a hair salon and I'm a stylist. I've been a stylist for over 30 years. And I say this all the time. I may not be your best stylist, obviously, right? Who's the best of anything? But
Well, I think you did good with my hair the other day. I mean,
you
it doesn't look as good as when you did it, but
no,
it's not
that's
bad.
good.
In
Otherwise, you wouldn't
fact,
need me.
we have a before and after because this
That's
is,
right. That's right. That's right.
yeah, yeah.
But the day I met you, you said phone call. The day I met you,
Mm-hmm.
you are older, Aria and Aria and Emma
Mm-hmm.
were 3 years old, and they're both going to
Mm-hmm.
be 25. So, and they were three, and
Mm,
Maya and Ethan were
we're
in the
babies.
baby carrier, the
Mm-hmm.
carrier thing that you carry the babies in. And we were signing our children up for preschool. Our oldest were
Oh,
already
yeah.
registered.
Well, the Harvard of preschool,
Oh my God. It sure
right?
was. I'll tell you, I
It
think
sure
that
was.
the year that both my kids were there at the same year, I said to my husband, how are we going to eat? How are we going to
Yeah.
eat?
Oh, yeah.
Was
Oh,
it
yeah. And it costs
$30,000 a year
a
for
year
preschool?
for preschool.
It was thirty
Yeah.
thousand
I
dollars
mean,
a
we
year for
were
preschool. They
nuts.
colored. They colored.
Well, but
No, they didn't. It was good.
oh my gosh, the Spanish teachers only spoke to them in Spanish. Like English was
Mr.
not allowed.
Jaime.
Mr. Jaime. Yeah.
Mr. Jaime. It was
And do
such
you
a
know
great
how
school.
it was a great school? Do you know, I just random on the side, I just remember there was this painting and it was like paint was like splashed everywhere and it was just hanging out on the floor. And little Maya, I think, no, little Aria is like, Mom, is that a Jackson Pollock? I'm like, what? And that's when I was like, okay, well, at least the
Yeah.
30K is going somewhere.
No, it's the truth because I'll tell you, on that same day that I met you was the day that we were sort of going on this group tour of the school, and we
Hmm.
walked into, I forget the art teacher's name, but young, beautiful, girl who had studied fine arts in Italy. I mean, really,
Mm-hmm.
really cool. It's a shame that I can't remember her name. But when we walked in to do our tour, I saw was all these children laying on the floor underneath their
Mm-hmm.
desks. And I said, what are they doing? Why are all these kids
Mm-hmm.
laying on the floor underneath their desks? And what I didn't realize was she had put paper, she had taped paper
Oh,
under their tables,
and they were,
and they were studying Michelangelo that week.
oh,
And
I
they
love
were
that.
reenacting, the Sistine Chapel, and then they were pretending to paint on the ceiling, which I thought was
Yeah.
so cool. So yeah, you're right. I mean, money well spent. We've got great kids.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
so
where are
you were.
we going with this?
I have no
Oh, your
idea.
comp.
And the phone calls that we used to have.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea where
Because
we're
I
going.
was so, because I was like,
You
I
blocked it
don't
out. You
know.
blocked it out. You were so
Well, yeah,
miserable. And I met
I'm
you, and you
so
just
miserable.
gravitated to me. You walked over to me, and you were like, hello. And I thought you were I thought you might have been the oldest child of whoever's family that was. Because you looked like you were 12, just like you look like now. You don't age a day. And you had on a red t shirt and some Gap jeans because you made sure you told me they were Gap jeans because you said, I'm wearing my Gap mommy jeans. And you
Oh,
had
yeah.
hair
I,
down to
yeah.
your waist, maybe longer. I think maybe long.
Mm-hmm.
It was so much
It was
hair.
long.
And you made a
Yeah.
comment to me the other night at a party that we were at, and you said to me, I wish I had that girl's hair. And I said, you do. It's just shorter now. But that's the exact hair that you used to have.
Okay, but let's just go on record that I will no longer be cutting my hair short. So
Okay,
now you
well,
have it. It's on record. I
well,
mean, I know we've had this conversation many times, but
we've had this conversation so many times. I think what
I
you need to
will
put on
not be
record
cutting
is
my
tell
hair
the
short.
people you will not be getting perms anymore. I think for anyone that doesn't know, I think they should know. And for anyone that is judging, how could you not?
Okay, listen. Okay, but there's a reason for the madness. In the 80s, I had my head buried in a book. Everyone else was living their life. They were getting perms and they were going out with friends and you know, I was like my head was stuck in a book. And now, oh my gosh, I feel like a
Is
human.
this you recapturing your childhood by getting a perm
Oh,
and being
definitely. I'm aging
defiant?
backwards. Yeah, yeah.
Being
Yeah,
defiant. You're
yeah,
definitely
I mean,
aging backwards. You're getting
I
younger looking as you're getting
I
older.
walked into work and turned in my resignation and right because and how long has it been? You've been
Oh,
telling me this is not how people live for that many 2 decades.
well, I think this is a good segue because that night I met you. We had kids running around a schoolyard. We put our kids in preschool. I was so fortunate to forge a friendship with you over all these years. I mean, you've become my family and my bestest one of my most favorite bestest friends people because you're just
Yay.
so wonderful. But on that particular day, when I had only met you for the first time, everyone thinks I'm the crazy one of this group. It was, you're right, it was after your shift, but you were early into your career, so you didn't get the good shifts. So you
Mm-mm,
you called me, and it was like it was late. It was late, and I go to bed early, so that's put that together.
mm-mm.
And I answered the phone, and I said, "Who is this?" And you said, "It's Chippy." And I said, "Oh, is everything okay?" And you said, "Yeah, I'm just on break." And I don't even think we had discovered. I don't even think we talked about what you did for a living during the day when we were doing with our children.
Okay, now just to be clear, I don't have a memory of any of this, but I believe you.
Yeah, yeah, you did. And then you told me you were sitting in the doctor's lounge, tucked into a locker, and you were talking to me from your BlackBerry,
Oh,
which you loved so much. You loved
oh
that
yeah,
BlackBerry.
the days before iPhone. I
Yeah,
know.
you loved your
My
BlackBerry.
gosh, I did. I thought it was very like utilitarian. Like, it was, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I really did. I really liked my
yeah, and you did.
BlackBerry.
And I'll tell you the most profound statement you made during that phone call, and this is what you'll remember. And you said to me, I'm a prisoner of my life.
Oh,
And
I do remember that statement.
you said
Yeah.
not my family, but my professional life. And yeah, I mean, I think that's a perfect way to segue into sort of, here you are
Mm.
almost years later. I mean, I've only been in your life almost 20 something years, but you've been in this career for longer than that because you were transitioning.
Yeah,
You
I
were working
mean,
up, you moved
yeah,
to our
I think
hospital.
I was bred, right? And going back, when you're Indian, you either were a doctor, or maybe an engineer, and that's it, So I, I was
Pick
bred to
one
be a
of the three
doctor.
doctors.
Right. And I wanted to be an artist when I was young and in college, and
You are an artist.
I just, yeah, anyway, so yeah, so I guess part of the reason that I'm leaving this profession the way I know it, I'm changing. It's still Western medicine, but now it's Western medicine and Eastern medicine, and it's taking care of the individual mind, body, and spirit, right? And that's what I want to do. So I'm not really retiring, but creating healthcare the way I want to without completely negating my health and my existence.
Yeah.
I remember I remember being pregnant, working 90 hours the week before I delivered Maya. I remember getting UTIs when I was pregnant with Arya because you don't have time to eat, you don't have time to drink, you don't have time to pee, so you don't drink. I remember coming to Florida, and in season, I would lose 5 pounds every single season.
Yeah, I bet you
And
did.
I don't
No
have,
food, no
I mean,
water, no sitting.
no food or water, and just yeah, I remember losing every year I would lose 5 pounds, and I don't really have 5 pounds to lose, right? I mean, I'm
You barely
pretty.
have 4 pounds to lose. You don't have any
So
pounds.
it was yeah, and then you when you're so depleted, you don't have that time and the love to give to your patients. And look, every
Or your
burned out
family or your
physician or
friends or
family or
yourself.
yourself, and yeah, so we just every physician that's burned out has the same tale. And those of us that are burned out and leave, right, it's the same story. We don't have time for our patients. We don't have time to do healthcare the way that it ought to be done. And it's just, it's, it's,
It's
yeah,
sad.
it's not
So,
sustainable.
two things that you said. One, you're definitely not retiring. I feel like this is going to be your best
This is a new
chapter.
beginning.
I think this
Hmm.
is a new beginning. You're definitely not. I think what's happened now is you've become unleashed. I think, listen, you're seasoned. You know better. No one's going to tell you what to believe anymore. Not only
Mm-hmm.
have you seen it, you've lived it, you've practiced it, you've walked through hell, both in your personal and your professional life. And I
Hmm.
think this is going to be the best chapter of your life yet.
Oh,
I'm
I
so
love it.
excited about what you're about to do. I mean, I don't know that we know what it is yet, but we're going to,
Actually, we don't know what I'm about to do, right? I mean,
I
because,
think what we're
yeah,
doing, we're talking about it, we're
we're,
figuring it
we're
out.
talking about
You're
it.
doing it every
Yeah.
day. You're helping people every single day. There doesn't have to be any box that you're bound into. I think that's the whole point, right? Is breaking
Yeah.
free of the boundaries and allowing
Yeah.
yourself to truly heal people with all that knowledge and love that you
Hmm.
intended to 30 years ago. But unfortunately, we
Hmm.
get into any corporate environment, any organization just has layers of bureaucracy. And
Hmm.
when you are a healthcare provider, I mean, I don't have to tell you this, but for anyone who doesn't know this, the amount of liability that you are
Hmm.
responsible for unfortunately ties your hands
It
and
does.
it restricts you.
And well, I think, and that's the change in mindset that we need people to have. And it's something that physicians have created. Come to me, I will take care of your problem. There's no personal responsibility in any of that. And so, but now people are savvy, right? So now people are coming in and they sometimes they know more details about their disease than, and they're telling me about some weird disease that they have, and they have all this research and they have all this understanding.
That's because they watch
And
Royal Pains.
I have yet to watch that show. Oh my God. I told myself I would never watch a medical show because I'm just like, what are
Listen,
you doing?
our
You're doing it
friend Yael
wrong.
told us about it. I watched it, and it's 7 seasons. I think I've been watching it for a
Oh
year
my God.
because it's my treadmill show. I only watch
Oh.
when I'm on the treadmill. It's ridiculous,
Hmm.
but I will tell you, I fact check every episode with whatever diagnosis they come up with,
Uh-huh.
and it's a real one. I've never heard
Uh,
these words in my life. I'm sure you know them all, but I don't. Royal pains for anyone who wants to go deep into the world of medicine,
wants to
into the
understand medicine,
Hamptons.
be a doctor. Floral paints.
Hank is a great doctor. Hank Med
I
is
don't know who
wonderful.
Hank is. Yeah.
You know who he would be? He would be your favorite doctor. He's so good.
Mm,
So,
yeah. And I mean, and I remember holding on to some of these doctors, in my career that cared about people, they were just,
yeah,
they
as you
just,
should.
yeah. So yeah, I want to be that person. I want to be that person that empowers people to make meaningful shifts in their lives, right? And you don't
So,
have to be perfect.
you have been that person for me our whole life. And fortunately for me, I've never needed a cardiologist, but you have always advocated for me. You've always helped me navigate and, understand certain things. And I've said this before, I'll say it probably every time I get to talk to you is I am completely against hormone replacement therapy. I am one of the people who had fear instilled in me, and all the
Hmm.
women in my life, went through
Well,
without it.
because physicians have changed the way we practice based on one big study that doesn't apply to a woman now going through menopause. It was the wrong patient population. It was the wrong medicine that was tested. It was, and then we applied that one study to every woman across the board. And we said,
Yeah.
no, hormone replacement causes heart disease, stroke, blood clots in the lungs, breast cancer, uterine cancer. If you look at the details of that study that created all of this data that, if you look at the fine detail, the placebo group had a 1 in 1,000 incidence of breast cancer. The hormone replacement group had a 2 in 1,000 incidence
Yeah.
of breast cancer.
And
And we're
and of
like, oh, we
course,
can't
like
can't
everything, right?
use.
I mean, every individual body. I mean, I know I have a lot of clients. I'm sure you have patients that there are some reasons why the hormone replacement therapy is
Right.
not for
But
them.
have that conversation
It's
with the
exactly
patient,
right. Is
right?
navigate and don't make a decision based on misinformation. That's what I think is the biggest problem. And I think that statement can be the umbrella statement for almost everything, right? It's like every
Hmm.
one of us, whether it be ongoing or whether it be occasionally, are making decisions on, with misguided information. And one of the things that you always talk about is, and I think it's so critical because nowadays it's so hard to fact check anything. I mean, it's
Hmm.
really, really hard to fact check anything. And you taught me this again. You say, I want to become this person. Well, I'm just reminding you of all the times that you've helped me, understand these different things and to navigate these things. But, you explained to me, go look at who lobbies for these articles. You could find
Oh,
an article
God, yeah.
against or in
Supporting
favor of whatever
sugar.
you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, major medical journals will publish studies, and the only thing that is reported to the media is the headline. And if you look at the detail, you're like, wow, this was supported by the sugar industry. And of course, the
Right.
study is going to say, oh, well, sugar's really not that bad. I actually feel bad for the non-medical consumer. And even for physicians, I'm not trained in clinical trial, understanding the science of clinical trial data and statistics, so I will go to sources that I know will fully vet these studies to really understand, what is it that they're reporting. But I think we're getting too complicated. There's fundamentals of health and well-being that everybody can embrace, even if you're on opposite ends of the nutrition, debacle that is now oh, you're keto or you're plant-based or you're vegan or you're pescatarian. And do you know there are breatharians? Do you know?
All they eat is air. See these new words. I haven't seen that episode yet of Royal Pains with Breath Eric, but I've never heard that. I know you diagnosed me in our
Right.
pilot episode. You diagnosed me, and I forget what it was called.
Orthorexic,
Yeah, the person who
because you're
obsesses about
obsessed
eating
with.
healthy. I'm obsessed with eating. I obsess over eating healthy, which is so true
Oh my
because
God. Which, if anyone, if you go to a restaurant with you,
I know
oh my God, I feel so. What is it? It's Meg Ryan's
Meg
character
Ryan.
from.
Yeah,
That's
but I
you.
pride myself on being so nice to the staff.
You are very nice about it, and I think
And I
that's the
always
only
say it's
reason
okay.
you
I don't
get
need to
away with
eat.
it. Yeah, you're like
If you
it's
can't
fine.
make that for me, I don't.
But
Honestly, I
can
don't
you
need to
can
eat.
you sub the cheese and can you not put the wheat and no salt and can you put this on the side? Oh, and can I have this instead of the arugula instead of this? Because I can't.
I
Oh
know. I
yeah, there's
know.
at least like 20 things that you asked for at
I know.
least.
But so I do two things. I always make sure that I show up to a party or a restaurant with a full belly. And
Hmm.
I'm always kind of like, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to eat here, so let me just eat something at home
Or
because
I
I
made you
feel
the
like,
salad for this
or the
last.
salad, yeah, yeah. And then also, I also feel that it is my responsibility that if I leave my house and I expect to walk into someone's home or someone's party or a restaurant, even without vetting the menu and calling ahead. So if I call
Hmm.
ahead to a restaurant, if we're going to go there with a group, have a party, whatever, if I call ahead and I tell them what my food
Hmm.
restrictions are, I'll tell you, I would say 9.5 times out of 10,
They
they are willing
accommodate.
to do anything for me. Now,
Yeah.
there are a few restaurants that I really do. I love the owners and I enjoy and I want to support them, but unfortunately, they're not willing to make any, move the needle in any direction. And so, it's not fun for me to go there because I just kind of sit there,
Hmm.
which is okay if I'm
Yeah.
engaging in conversation, but usually the staff is upset about it and not me. So I know I do have that problem, but I do believe if you're someone like me, I think this is an important thing to talk about for a second. Like if you are someone like me or you're someone that has food restrictions galore, I do think it's your responsibility to, pack something, have something with you all the time because it prevents you from maybe having to be tempted with making choices that might make you feel sick or put you in some kind of a danger,
Right.
depending on where, how severe your allergies are, your restrictions are, whether they be. Someone said something to me recently that I thought was profound. I was telling them the story of a restaurant that I had gone to that
Hmm.
was new, and I really wanted to support it. I had heard really good things about it. And the chef wasn't willing to change anything. And he said, listen,
Hmm.
Assunta, everybody can abandon ship for one night. He said, so is it
Oh
an
yeah.
allergy or is it just a
Right.
choice?
A
And the
choice.
girl I
Yeah.
was sitting with said, why does it matter?
Hmm.
She's
Hmm.
here, she's a patron. Why does it matter to you why she's choosing to ask for these things for the menu? And of
Well,
course, I apologized and made sure that they knew that I was okay with it. And for every one thing that I could taste, I gave it a try and gave my feedback. And
right.
because they were opening and we were invited to like the launching. I'm the worst person to
I know.
invite
Why
to a
would they invite
restaurant
you?
launch.
I was thinking that. Like,
Why?
it's like inviting me to like a Brazilian restaurant that only serves meat.
Yeah, or a tequila bar, right? Like, why? Like, don't
Well,
invite me to
but
that. I was so happy to be invited. I thought that was so nice, but I just can't do. I don't get. It's unfortunate because I don't get to do justice to what these
this
chefs are
is
creating beautiful things, and it's just not.
and
I
and
just
and all of that is good, but I think this is the culture, right? So when people are struggling to move the needle towards a better healthy lifestyle, right? It's hard. It's hard to do this in this country, especially. And you just sent me a
yeah.
video on just Fanta, right? And
Oh
the different
man,
food coloring that goes into American Fanta versus one that was, served in Italy, right? For people out there that are struggling to make impactful changes, just know that it's hard. It's
yeah. You're
hard.
not
You
alone.
have to You're not
Yeah.
alone. You have to just be your best advocate. And so yeah, I want to focus on, what do we call it? The 5+1. How many different measures do we come up with? So when I talk
Oh, the
about
five
wellness,
plus one.
obviously 5+1, I
Where
can't
did
remember.
we
Okay, so
just
nutrition, obviously, exercise, and I guess we shouldn't say exercise, it's movement. Any
movement?
movement makes you happy.
Today
But
was the happiest.
sustained movement. Oh, what did you do? What was
The
your movement
rebounder.
today?
I jumped,
Oh
I
God, I know. I
bounced.
have to order that. Yeah, I went to
So
Pilates. Yeah,
fun.
I
So
know. I have
fun.
to. I have to. Okay, so by next podcast, I will have gotten a rebounder. And then obviously stress, managing stress, sleep. Where are we? That's 4. Creating community. And then what was our +1?
I forget. I forget what it was. Um,
Nutrition, exercise, movement, stress. Oh,
community.
trauma. Dealing
Releasing
with
trauma.
trauma,
Releasing
releasing
trauma.
trauma.
That's right.
5+1. If you
That's right.
if any
Which
of
is
that applies,
6
and
for anyone counting.
and and I think the whole trauma situation is, you don't have to have had some horrific event. It could just be the way your mind when you were young, or when you were a young adult, or even in your present day, how you processed an event
Yeah.
that is then stored in your subconscious, and how
I
it
was
and
just reminded
mhm,
of how minimal thing could be to become a big trauma, right?
big
And it was
trauma.
the
Yeah.
cutest story. Two of my clients, husband and wife, I service them both, bring in their
Hmm.
little girl.
Hmm.
And she's 2.5 at this point, and
Hmm.
she got stung by a bee,
Oh,
and she had a reaction to it. And mom, nothing dangerous, but mom and dad,
right.
it was their first
Right.
time experiencing this with their new little girl. So
Right.
they reacted in an emergency way, and they took her to the ER. And
Hmm.
in the ER, the doctor handled the little 2.5-year old.
Hmm.
That alone. And
Yes.
they brought grandma to the ER.
Hmm.
Now, grandma comes from a different generation. She's not wrong. She's not
Hmm.
right. She's just a different generation. We're
Right.
raising children differently today than we did when grandma was raising children. And
Hmm.
grandma was yelling at mom and dad in the waiting room, saying, hold
Why is
her
she in the
down, hold
ER?
her
Yeah.
down.
Oh,
Why are you letting her cry and squirm? And the doctor's like, I need her to be still. Doctor's trying to carry on with his days. An ER doctor, you know how busy those doctors are.
yeah.
And this was not a specific pediatric ER. Or maybe it
Hmm.
was an urgent care. I don't remember
Right.
exactly. But the
Right.
point of the story is that that little girl, in those days that followed, had become, her behavior changed. And when her
Yeah.
mom and her dad sat her down to ask her all sorts of things, I mean, she was just different. And she
Yeah.
said that I'm so, 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 so scared of the doctor. I'm so, so scared of the
Hmm.
doctor. Right. And so that's a big trauma. That was her first, like,
It's
they put me in the
and
hands of a stranger and
and
he
it
didn't
and it
treat me
was
right.
and it happened at a young age,
That's right.
where
It's
the
layer number
brain
one.
can't process it. The brain
That's
can't. The
right.
brain is not developed. And in fact, what, you have to be like 20, in your mid-20s, for your brain to be fully developed. That brain is not developed to understand what just happened. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think
She's storing
there,
that.
she's storing it. I truly, truly feel trauma. It underlies so much. It makes us pick our partners. It is that it
Yeah.
plays in that subconscious mind
It
for
aids.
you to pick your friends, the way you choose to live, all of it. I mean, there's so many things we could talk about, but then you could talk about the microbiome, and how your gut microbes, the bacteria, the fungi, the archaea, these little organisms that live in our body. By the way, do you know that we're not all human? Like, you think about, oh, well, I'm human. I've got human genes. We're only like
I thought we
half
were like
human.
part mushroom.
Like,
I think I made that up.
Well, there's, bacteria, virus, archaea, all these like different organisms. But if you look at all the genetic material that we have, these other organisms have more genetic material in our bodies than our own genetic material. So, and when we talk about nutrition, it's never about losing weight. It's about optimizing your gut bacteria
That's right.
and how your gut bacteria then works for you. Your gut microbiomes work for you to give you the health and wellness. And so yeah, so dealing with trauma, optimizing your gut, um, creating a sense of community and well-being, sleeping well. And just to be clear, I'm a total hypocrite because I binged watched Netflix for the first time in a long time last night.
Good. I'm glad you
And
did
I'm
that.
going
You
on
need to
four.
have
Well,
some.
I'm going on 4 hours of sleep. So today, by the way, just having only 4 hours of sleep the night before, my immune system is compromised
Well,
just by
yeah,
one night of poor sleep.
I totally agree. So, okay,
Yeah.
so let's do that, right? So let's 5 plus 1, 6 part series. Let's break them down. So for the
Okay.
next 10 to 15 minutes before we bore everybody to death with our banter, let's break it down. Which one do you want to start with? Pick one.
I mean, I guess we'll do nutrition because when
Okay.
everyone talks about health and wellness, nutrition
So,
pops
in
up.
an effort to keep it simple, right? So, okay, so nutrition, right? That can mean so many things to so many people. And so many of us, civilians over here, I can, try doing the best we can. I know that most of us think that if we're making home cooked meals, most of us can make excuses as to why we can't make home cooked meals. Some of us would say that we're on really unique schedules. We have people that work all night, sleep for part of the day, wake up, and their day starts
Hmm.
much later in the day.
Hmm.
And so there's all different demographics, right? But the one thing that we
And
all
just
have
to
in
be
common is we
clear,
need to eat.
just to be clear, when we say excuses, I think all excuses are valid. If you
They
say,
are. They
well,
are.
right,
They're our reasons
everything
for
is
not being able to do
valid.
something.
Yeah, yeah. So, for whatever reasons that are difficult for people to change their nutrition, just make one little change.
Every
Just
day. Or even
pick
every meal.
one change. So just eat fiber. So that's it. So that's the
So
only
give
thing
me
we're gonna
list
nutrition.
five. Give me five of the most fibrous foods that you would
Any
recommend.
anything that is colored by nature. So, today I had a kiwi. So I don't scoop out the kiwi. I
No,
take the whole kiwi and I cut it and I eat it, skin and all. So
just promise
now
me you're
I've
washing
just,
it in like distilled
oh
vinegar
yeah.
or
Well, it's
first.
organic, right? And I get the golden kiwi because the skin is actually a little thinner. So I just scrape it. It's organic. I scrape it, and then yeah. So then I eat the skin. So anything,
So
people
why?
say, "Oh,
Why do
I
you eat the
can't
skin?
eat fiber." Right
Yeah,
now, you've just
extra.
massively upped your fiber
That's right.
just by eating the skin. Um, there's actually like a banana bread recipe that uses banana peel. I have to find it. It's somewhere.
Banana
I
peel
haven't
is
tried it.
so good for your.
So good.
You know who does that? My son and my
Hmm.
husband.
Banana peel facials?
They love it.
Really?
Banana peel
Oh,
facials. They put the banana all over them. It oxidizes, and then they love it. They love it. I've tried it
okay.
a
I have
couple
to try
times, but
that.
I do not do it consistently. So
So
anything with
nutrition, we'll
color,
keep it simple.
naturally colored.
One thing with color, just put that into your meal somehow every day. That's it. Let's just
Okay.
keep it simple. Um, yeah, I mean, look, at some point we need to do the BJ Fogg book, Tiny Habits. The,
Well, we're
pencil that
doing it.
in to one of
We're
our.
doing it.
So
Because
we're
I
doing
think
it.
that what
Just
people
one
need
thing.
is like one thing, right? So I think what I do for myself is, and I think I do really good, and then I'm reminded of how I can do better, right? These conversations that
Hmm.
you and I have, both on the camera, off the camera, um, always remind me of what I could be doing better. I
Hmm.
was not eating the skin of the kiwi. Now I'm going to eat the skin.
Oh, and by the way, did you know that eating a kiwi, because it has certain digestive enzymes, is so much better and more effective for constipation than taking anything your doctor is going to give you,
Oh
or
gosh,
prunes or
no.
this and that. Oh my God. I had this patient of mine came in with her mom, her 96-year-old mother, and she's like,
Wow.
she's got constipation. I'm like, don't worry. She's like, and her doctor gave her Miralax and this and that. I
Yuck.
said, look, just give her one kiwi fruit a day. And I saw the daughter for an event, like literally 2 weeks later. She's like, Dr. Shippy, it worked, totally worked. And she was a
Yeah,
96-year-old woman. And all
right.
she has been doing is just eating a kiwi fruit a day.
Yeah, how's
So,
that going to hurt
okay,
anybody?
so exactly, right?
Not at
I mean,
all.
if you can, try to buy organic. If you can't, right? Vinegar, baking soda, soak it, and you've taken a good portion of the pesticides out. Um, okay, so that's nutrition because that's it. That's all we're going to do. That's it. That's your nutrition. Oh, and if you can't figure out how to put all this fiber in, just get dates and just have it in the pantry and just eat like 2 or 3 dates. And
I'll
it's
tell
so
you.
sugary. And people are like,
Yeah,
oh, it's so sugary. It has so much fiber. It is so healthy for you. It is so
every
healthy for you.
time I eat a date, I look up and I say, "Thank you, God, for giving me this
Oh,
this candy.
it's
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 nature's
candy.
candy." And
So
I
good.
do, for anybody who cares, I fortunately I don't crave sugar, but I do love the flavor of a dark chocolate. And because it's very
Mm,
difficult for me to find a good chocolate, and I do love Unreal. I think they do a great job. That company,
mm,
Unreal, they've got
mm.
good choices. They're little, they really cut a lot of the sugar out, but I prefer always to have make my own. If I'm
Mhm.
desperate, that's where I'll go to. But
What
I
is what is
do.
that? What's that dessert that you make, or
So
was it
I
Emma
always
that
make
made it
the
first?
no. So what I do is I take the dates, I take
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing of dates, I put it in there with either a raw walnut or
Mm-hmm.
pecan or cashew, whatever nut you choose. Prefer for anyone that doesn't know this, peanuts are not nuts.
Oh,
Peanuts are legumes. So when I say use whatever raw nut you want, that excludes a peanut because it's not a nut.
and peanuts have a lot of omega-6, and you want to maximize your omega-3, so that's where the walnuts come in, and yeah,
Walnuts they're awesome, right? So I put all
and it
the
has longevity benefit.
I love it. So I put that the dates, the raw organic nut, the dates are organic as
Mm-hmm.
well in there. Obviously, take the pits
Mm-hmm.
out if they haven't been pitted. Take the pits out, and I do the tiniest pinch of salt, and then I
Mm-hmm.
do a heaping tablespoon of raw organic cacao,
Mm-hmm.
and I pour it into there, and it's all in the food processor,
Mm-hmm.
and I blend it all up, and it literally comes like a dough, like a cookie
Oh, so
dough.
this is like your energy balls or
They're
your
my little
little,
balls. I roll them up like little
yeah, I
balls.
love it. Yum.
They're delicious. They have that, and now I have that chocolate and a pinch of salt flavor that I eat, and it's
Yeah.
date,
And
nuts,
you can roll
salt,
it.
and
You can roll it in like the coconut flakes too.
you could when
And you can
I
add more fiber.
absolutely. Sometimes you could put the coconut inside the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it depends on the season. I'll add pumpkin seeds, flax
Mm.
seeds, chia seeds, depending on what you're looking for. But you can add anything to
Yeah.
that. But that is typically my base. And I'll tell you, for anyone who's craving sugar, chocolate,
Mm-hmm.
they are so incredibly satisfying. Satisfying. And like you said, and they're full of fiber. They're
Yeah.
full of
But,
fiber
I
and
everything
protein.
you said, everything you said is true. But, for people that have been eating sugar, processed sugar,
Yeah.
it actually takes a minute.
Oh,
I want to say it's 2 weeks for your taste buds to adjust to the sugar.
I'll tell you, it's interesting.
So,
My I have not
so
eaten.
for us, it's like it's a
Oh,
dessert.
it's almost like I
But for
can't almost eat
somebody,
two.
yes, but for somebody who's been eating so much processed sugar, they're gonna think we're nuts
No,
telling them
you're
that
right,
it's
and that's actually
nature's
a good
candy.
point. Talking about nutrition, I think that this is something that we should definitely talk about for a second. Is that our palates are so on the other side of that spectrum that
Yes.
I'll put something in my mouth, and the first thing I can taste is either when I say chemical. because I don't eat any processed foods unless I'm putting them in my food processor, and they come from Whole Foods.
Mhm.
But otherwise, I'll eat something that someone's made and they've promised me that it's totally Assunta approved. It doesn't
Mhm.
have the things in there that I can't eat. And the amount of foul aftertaste that I will have on my tongue because I have become so sensitive to, and usually where it's coming from. And to no fault to anyone who doesn't know this, it's usually coming in whatever oils they've cooked it in,
Mhm.
is usually leaving a film on my tongue
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
is just, I can't tell you, I can't get home fast enough and scrape my tongue.
And just brush, yeah, brush your
Oh,
tongue and scrape.
it's really
Uh,
bad. And something that could have
but
been so incredibly delicious tastes so foul to me.
but it's changeable, right? It's
That's right, it is.
anyone can adjust your palate because your taste buds change and someone's got to fact check me, but I want to
You
say
know
it's like
what?
10 days or 2 weeks, something.
And I
You
recently
have
just read
new
an
taste
article.
buds.
I recently just read that it's, and this is amazing. And again, somebody fact checked me, but I did read this article. But it says it takes 35 days. You can change your eating habits, your entire habits in 35 days. And everybody knows that our bodies grow diseases periodically, that our immune system will squash.
Every day we're getting our cancer is getting squashed. Hopefully it's getting squashed,
Hopefully, we
or
pray, right? We
it's
pray.
allowing for clonal expansion.
Or we're feeding
And
it.
we're squashing or we're feeding. And the
That's right.
squash and the feed
That's right.
comes from the 5+1. It comes from all the
The
five
five plus
plus
one.
one. You squash the cancer that is happening in your body right now, today, every
That's right.
day.
And I read that it only takes 35 days to do that. Can you imagine if all you had to do was give up maybe the extra glass of wine, the extra cup of coffee, or this not it's not even the coffee. It's what you're putting
Well,
inside the coffee.
coffee's got really, yeah, coffee's got a pretty intense and actually the data for coffee, I think, is stronger than the data for tea. So it's about four cups of coffee a day actually decreases. It's got a longevity benefit,
Yeah,
reduction in
coffee's a good
Alzheimer's.
one to ingest.
Coffee's,
If you're getting good.
assuming you can handle it
Yeah, and
and it
high
doesn't
quality
disrupt your
bean.
sleep,
You want to get a high
and high
quality
quality
bean, right?
and
It's not just
organic.
about the coffee.
Yeah, and wasn't it Karen that told us that, or someone? Karen was the one who said, Karen from Crop
Karen
said
Ordeer.
it's such an intense amount of pesticides in non-organic coffee. There's
Oh,
a
I can't
lot of,
imagine how. Listen,
yeah,
non-organic anything. The amount of
no,
pesticides. If you
right.
ever see visuals of those planes just flying over, I mean, they if they went any lower, they
Yeah,
would just kill the crops. They are making sure that none of the pesticides is blowing into the away from the food. It's just getting right into our food. And if you're not, the reason we're mentioning vinegar, the distilled vinegar and the baking soda, every time you come home, wherever you're getting your produce from, you should bring it home. Fill your sink with water. Put a little bit of organic distilled vinegar in it with a little sprinkle of baking soda, and watch what
mhm.
happens to that water. You will
Just
see
let it soak.
things. Just let
Just
it soak and then give it a good rinse after and let it dry. I always put it on my mats, my dish mats.
right,
And
right,
I
and
let
let it
all my
dry.
produce dry, for hours, and then I cut it all up. That's another part. I think that's a good thing. Prepping your food before you need it or want it helps you
Hmm.
from making decisions that might take you off of your
Your
goal.
path, right? And just real quick, even if you buy organic, right? These organic farms are not in some specific place of the planet
Right.
where I mean they're bordering inorganic farms, and these guys are spraying. The air is drifting the pesticides into the organic farms too. So you
That's
can't,
right. Cross contamination is
unfortunately,
happening all the
there,
time.
yeah, it's just so.
And let's face it,
It, mm,
Monsanto.
oh, please,
you
you
know,
know,
they that shall
as
not be named.
horrible. Oh my God, as horrible as big tobacco is, at least big tobacco didn't give poison to newborn babies,
Oh man,
right? But
Monsanto
Monsanto with
is the
baby
devil.
formula, it starts with baby formula.
Yeah. And I
I
don't know if
just,
anybody knows this, and I can't remember what year it was because I didn't look. I just needed to know what was happened. But Monsanto is the first in our entire lifetime of existence that has been able to patent a living organism. So for any farmers, that's what's happened, right? That's the problem with the farmers, is that these generational farmers are out there doing work. They're doing good work. They are
Good
providing
work.
us with food. Food is the fundamental of how we exist, right? It's food. We need to eat.
Mhm.
And that's where most of our vitamins and nutrients and all of that comes from, our fiber, all of it, right? That's how we can squish or feed
Mhm.
the cancer. So when you take a generational farmer and you tell them that they have to change their entire way that they practice, or
And they
they're going to
have
lose their
no
whole farm.
right. Right. And they have no right. So if they
They have no
create a
rights.
variety, Monsanto owns it.
They own it.
And oh my God. So there's two words, seedless lemons. Please, please, anybody listening to us today, do not buy seedless lemons
How did
because
that
it
happen?
is
How did that happen?
against the very basis of nature,
I
right?
have a story. I wish I had the picture. When I was my last trip to New York, my uncle's neighbor, they're both in their 90s. They're boyfriend and girlfriend. They're in their 90s. They're so cute.
Mm,
And they go to this store that's called the Farm Stand, but it's not a
mm,
farm stand and it doesn't sell anything organic. But that's
mm,
besides the point. But they're in their 90s and they think they're doing the best that they can. And
mhm,
she calls my uncle over. She has a watermelon, a seedless watermelon, sitting on her counter. This was in the summertime. I think this was towards the end of July. And my uncle comes back with a picture that he's just taken from the neighbor's counter of the watermelon.
mhm.
That is, I swear to you, I am not making this up. I'm going to find this picture at some point. I'll bring it on. It'll be the most random ADD moment I'll have. And I'll just show the picture. The
Because you don't have
watermelon,
any other ADD moments.
none. The watermelon was literally expelling white foam. It wasn't even cut.
Mm,
It was bubbling and foaming.
yeah,
And then, of course, they cut it open and they had more photos of it, but they didn't know what was happening. They thought it was going to
mm,
explode on the counter. This is food. Now, imagine had that not happened prior to them eating that. I
yeah,
don't know enough to know what would happen in their body, but I'm going to just kind of guess that if that's
yeah.
what's happening to an uncut, seedless, non organic watermelon sitting on a counter of a home,
Mm.
what is it doing inside your body?
Yeah, well, but yeah. Listen, we've used up our time to just do the one of the 5+1, so
All
we'll
right,
have to come
so
back.
before we go, before we say goodbye, um, tell us fiber, number one thing to ingest, fiber.
Fiber, fiber, fiber. Get it in. Make a pot of beans. Stick it in your Instapot. Come home. You've got a pot of beans. Just and for people that can't handle beans, just start with like a tablespoon. Just eat 1 tablespoon. Oh, do you want to know a really cool bean thing? Let's say you're gonna eat something that's not so, processed sugary. Eat beans, and it actually reduces the negative effect of eating the sugar. So
Oh, awesome.
I'm
Okay,
not
so if you're still
saying
going to go ahead and eat the processed sugar, if you're
eat
not
some
willing to
beans.
give that up, then counteract it with the beans.
Eat some
Okay,
beans.
I think that's a
Yeah.
nice
So
tip.
fiber. Let's just make it basic. Just
That
get
feels
fiber.
hopeful for someone who's not willing to give up the processed sugar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Step one. I love
Eat
that. All
some
right, so we
beans.
got fiber, we've got beans. Make sure your fiber's coming from
Color.
things that are naturally colored. Be sure
As
to read
do
your
organic if
ingredients.
you can. Oh, by the way, for people that are like, oh, that's nice. You guys can go buy organic and do all this. You know what? We are blessed to have the lives that we have. So blessed. But, for people that are trying to do good and they've got to stick to a budget, um, frozen, frozen organic veggies and fruits are just fine,
Well,
right?
also,
It's going to be a lot
find
cheaper.
wherever you are in this world, find a local farm stand.
Oh,
And what you'll learn
here's a
about local farm
good.
stands is
Yes.
that not all of them want to be labeled organic. And part of that is because the FDA will crush them. These generational farmers can no longer
Mm,
afford
mm,
to take the FDA standard of what it is to be USDA organic. So what they do is they'll say that they're doing organic practices. Have a
mhm,
conversation with
mhm.
them. They're your neighbors. They're in your backyard. They're farming food for our community. Find them, source them out. They could really use your business as well.
Okay,
Local
so I'm
big huge
trying.
grocery stores have plenty of business.
I'm trying to find, there's this really great kid, and maybe we can stick it on on your Ask Asunta site. But there's this wonderful kid who actually has a map, and you can go on his map and put your zip code in, and it pulls up all the local farms that are not just all organic, but also produce or offer organic foods.
I know
So,
that one of our favorites is here in our local area. We're in the Tampa Bay area. We
I
live in
found it.
Sarasota. Oh, is that
Sorry.
it? You
Yes.
finding it?
Yeah, found
And
it.
so I know we favor Jessica's Organic Farm Stand
Yes.
and Warden Organic Farm Stand. We visit our friends. Who was this? You're going
Uh,
to just send that to me
It's
because I
called
can't.
My Health Forward.
My
It's
Health
this
Forward.
kid.
Okay, we'll share that
hmm
with everybody so they could follow and find where they could get.
Matthew from My Health Forward. And you literally, it's a map of the US. You put your
Yeah,
zip code in,
yeah.
and out pops up all the farms.
And the prices are reduced when you go and you support these local farmers. They're
Yep.
doing everything they can to try and preserve,
Minimize the risk.
preserve food and
Food
capture
and
the
how it
nutrition that's
tastes.
supposed to be
Yeah,
in food.
it tastes different. It
It's
tastes different.
pungent.
I cut open our, I was like slicing the bottom of the lettuce, and the little white sap came out. I'm like, oh my God, what is this? Like, you don't get that when you buy
Right.
it at your grocery store because it's
Well, who
just
knows
been
when it
sitting
got
there
cut, and
dried.
who knows it's been frozen, it's
Right.
been thawed, it's been in a
Apparently,
truck, it's
there's a
been
little sap
traumatized.
that comes
Yeah,
out when you
yeah.
slice it.
So
Who
if
knew?
I love it, I love it. Okay, I think that's a great place. Those are good tips. I think fiber, color, local farmers,
Go on the
all that
map.
stuff.
This kid,
Frozen, get on the
My
map.
Health Forward.
Yeah,
That's his
and we'll put
Insta.
that on the Ask Asunta Instagram page, and obviously we'll share all the information with you via text and all of that. So without further ado, we'll let everybody get back to their day.
Enjoy
Thank
the
you so
week.
much.
Oh,
Go ahead and say goodbye. And until next time, and thank you so much for listening to us and sending us questions and topics that you want to talk about. It's so important. And we'll continue doing 5+1
yeah.
because there's so much
Sounds
to
like a
cover.
plan.
5+1 is
Mhm.
amazing. So go eat something with beautiful color, specifically, or, easy, a kiwi. Thank you.
Ask Assunta for a magic spell to make us feel and live so well. In her wisdom, life does swell. Oh.